Hello, my name is Ryan Wickham, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Behind the Scenes with Ryan Wickham. I am the author of this book, Outlaw Principles, which, as I film this, is perhaps only minutes away from selling out for not the first, not the second, but the third time on Amazon.com, something I'm very proud of. But what I'm here to talk to you about today isn't really so much about this book. I'm here to talk to you about a message that, from what I'm told, both factually and I'm quite proud of this, is actually saving lives. Let me explain. Back in September 29th, in 2011, as somebody suffering with severe post-traumatic stress disorder, I woke from a night terror. Now, a night terror is a very dramatic symptom of post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's a very violent dream. And when I wake from my night terrors in this dream state, what happens is I see women and children running everywhere because these bad guys are chasing them, attempting to maim or kill them. So for that reason, I come out swinging to knock out the bad guys. Now, on this particular night, I went through a window, okay, and I didn't fall out of the window. I just punched into it, and which caused severe hand and arm injuries, rendering me disabled. I woke up to blood not pouring out of me, but projectiling out of me because I had an aortic bleed. An aortic bleed is when the blood comes out of you and it's projectiling like that of water out of a fire hose, okay? So that's what was coming back at my face as I tried to pull my hands and arms out of the wreckage. Now, I quickly tried to call 911. Unfortunately, I didn't realize at the time that my hands and arms now were, of course, disabled, and therefore I couldn't actually utilize the telephone. I didn't have that capability anymore. But that didn't really matter because within seconds of getting a hold of my phone, it was flooded with blood. And what ensued was it could actually dwarf the most gory and horrific horror movie scenes. Blood everywhere. I was trying to stuff my inside, like the inside of my arms, back into the flesh, pull the skin on my forearm back up. It wasn't pretty. I got out to the hallway. I see this truck. And my thinking was, I'm going to get down the stairs, get to this truck, and I'm going to have them call 911 for me. Well, unfortunately, I guess the sight of a 6-foot plus, 200-pound plus man covered in tattoos and blood didn't really inspire them to stick around and ask questions, right? So they vacated the area. Turn around, I get back up the stairs, and I collapse in the hallway, where I waited for over an hour and a half, bleeding out with an aortic bleed. Let me tell you, the odds of me surviving that night were slim to beeping none. That was a sentiment that was confirmed once I was rushed into the hospital, where I was told that even if you do survive, you'll do so without your hands and arms, or at least quite likely that's going to be the case. Now, fortunately, I woke up. Not only did I wake up, but I woke up with my hands and arms still very much attached to me, as otherwise useless as they may be. Now, initially, you're flooded with this euphoric sensation of glory. Like, I did it. I cheated death. I'm alive. I went through all these things. And that's quickly replaced with the realization that I, as a very independent, very active man, was now reduced to being, for the most part, utterly useless. I needed help, and a lot of help, to do everything from very basic bathing to cooking to cleaning to transportation, you name it. And I was in this constant pain, which I still am and always will be for the rest of my life. Feeling so useless and disabled rather, I slipped into a depression, a very immense one, and it started off where I'd wake up disappointed. It got to the point rather where I'd wake up disappointed to be alive, and then I got to the point where I was actually quite literally praying for my death. And then it actually got to the point where not only was I considering suicide, I actually planned it out. I got my hands on a lot of over-the-counter pharmaceuticals and a lot of booze. And my plan was swallow all these pills, drink all this booze, and wake up dead. Well, before I could actually do that, the day that I went to say goodbye to my mother and my sister, the two people for whom I lived for that night, the two women whose love inspired me to talk to my heart, to tell it to keep beating, to tell my lungs to keep finding air somewhere, I looked at them and I realized I couldn't do this to them. My mother, that year, again, got quite sick with some heart problems. Thank God the Ottawa Heart Institute was able to set her free of those. And I couldn't ask her to come back to a dead son. I wasn't going to do it. And I realized that I had to get back up. I had to get back up, not only for them, but for the entire world, because I realized in that moment that there were millions of people all over the world who were in a situation of destitute, be it injury, be it disease, regardless of the situation. They're in a place where they feel utterly useless, hopeless, and they feel that the big dreams they once had have completely vacated the possibility of ever occurring in their life. I was starting my life off at ground zero. I decided to become an author to inspire the world with an epic comeback story. My message today is twofold. One, regardless of your situation of destitute, you are capable of achieving anything you desire to. Greatness is not a single act. Greatness is when you make the decision to achieve a goal against all odds, regardless of your circumstances, followed by immediate and continuous action until that goal is achieved. Anybody can do this so long as they want it bad enough. My second message is let's take away the stigma for mental health issues. In fact, let's even get rid of the term mental health, because when we have physical health issues, we don't mention them as physical health issues. We just say our health isn't good, right? The same should be for issues pertaining to your mental state. Let's remove the stigma so that people just like me can get back in this world and get the help they need and not have to hide away and suffer in silence. My name is Ryan Wickham. I am the author of this book, Outlaw Principles. It's available on Amazon.com. It's available on FriesenPress.com, Barnes & Noble. It's available in hardcover, paperback, and ebook. Short, concise chapters, dripping with adrenaline. I can promise you this, you won't be bored reading it. Thanks very much for listening, and please join me on the next episode of Behind the Scenes with Ryan Wickham.